In this video, I'm going to show you what I consider to be the optimal controller grip for goalkeeping in FIFA 23 and the upcoming EAFC24. Once you master it, you'll undoubtedly have a higher skill cap, meaning you'll be able to play the position better than ever. Plus, once we have covered what the grip is and how to do it, I'm going to show you how to execute the quick volley pass in FIFA 23. The quick volley pass is a hidden mechanic that's not well known to a lot of keepers, but once mastered, it can be used to engage in quick counterattacks, catching the opposition off guard. Alright, let's get started. So the grip I use is known as the claw grip. This is a specific way of holding your controller. It's an alternative grip style that some players, like myself, use to gain a competitive advantage. What advantages, you may wonder? Glad you asked. Firstly, it allows you to keep your thumb on your right stick while using the buttons to execute positional tactics. A commonly used positional tactic is rushing the attacker by executing the goalkeeper rush. The goalkeeper rush is done by holding the triangle button on the PlayStation controller and the Y button on the Xbox controller. Using the claw grip completely avoids the delay that happens when you use your thumb to press your buttons. The next benefit is that executing more advanced moves like the feint rush, the quick volley pass and the double action save becomes notably easier and higher quality when using the claw grip. The quick volley pass, which I'll be explaining later in this video, as well as some of the other advanced moves that I'll talk about in future videos, all need the use of either the claw grip or special equipment which you'd need to buy, such as a scuff controller or back pedals. Otherwise, it's just not possible to do those moves, or it may be so difficult that it's impractical. So to summarize, using the claw grip provides increased speed and versatility. Speed, because you don't need to take your thumb off the right stick in order to press a button, and versatility, because it lets you do things that are either extremely difficult or impossible with a standard grip. As a competitive pro clubs player with over 8 years of experience, I can tell you that your grip does have a noticeable impact on what you can and can't do in-game. Now that you know what the claw grip is and its benefits, let's dive into how you can do it correctly. To start, I want you to hold your controller still and firmly with your left hand. Now, extend your right hand like this. Pronate your wrist slightly at this point. Now keep your wrist in that position and move your right hand next to your controller. Now, place your thumb on the inner ridge of your right analog stick. Now listen very carefully. There's a sweet spot of the thumb you should press against the ridge. You don't want to have a flat thumb, like this. And you also don't want to use the very tip of your thumb, like this. Somewhere in between is a sweet spot that gives you the most control of the right analog stick. Once you found it, you'll know, because your thumb won't be slipping off the stick easily, and you'll feel very in control of your movements. The thumb should be somewhat bent at the joint, not straight. Once you've found your sweet spot, keep your thumb there. Now, bend your index finger and place the side of the tip on your triangle button. Once at a comfortable angle, where you can press the button easily, hold your finger there. Remember to keep your thumb in place, as well as your index finger. Next, place your middle finger on the R2 trigger. Take note, I personally place my middle finger across, pointing diagonally to the left. Next, wrap your ring finger and pinky finger around the handle of your controller. I use these fingers to press the controller into the upper fourth area of my palm, as you can see here. This stabilizes the controller in my right hand. As for how to hold the controller with your left hand, do what feels most comfortable. However, what I tend to do is use the standard grip on my left hand. This is where your left index finger is on L1, your thumb on the left stick, and your ring finger, middle finger, and pinky are wrapped around the handle. Alright guys, so there's a very important detail that I need you to remember about how I use the claw grip in FIFA. When your team's in possession, what you do to distribute the ball or wanting to dribble is you simply move your index finger from the Y button to the R1 button and use your thumb instead if you want to make a pass or do anything like that. No need to do it with claw. There's not a real benefit I see in using your claw to distribute the ball. I wouldn't recommend it. Alright guys, so here we are in game in FIFA 23 and I'm about to start demonstrating how to do the quick volley pass in skill games. To start, let me do the normal volley pass. Actually, let's do that. So that's the normal volley pass. It is driven, but as you can see, the animation is slowed, especially after you power up the shot. Keeper slows down to do the animation. And this is the quick volley pass. Boom. Pass. I'll show you this again. So I'm sure you've noticed there's no longer that delay. Let's do this again. That delay that happens after you power up the pass. It's nice and smooth, like that. Now I'm going to start telling you how to consistently do the quick volley pass. You can think of the quick volley pass as having 3 phases. First phase would be activating your sprint, which is obviously R2. This is essential. You need to be holding your sprint as you're powering up the pass in order to do the quick volley pass. The second phase is recognizing when you've built enough momentum. You've reached the momentum threshold. And what I mean by that is, you see, when I activate my sprint, it takes a little, you know how the game is. It takes a little bit of time before my keeper slightly leans forward and really starts to accelerate. You actually need to get to the moment where your keeper makes that slight lean forward and their steps quicken. She starts taking these quick steps. That tells me that she's reached the momentum threshold and is going to be able to execute the volley pass. The last phase is simply timing to make the most advantage of the quick volley pass. You want to run just long enough that you reach that momentum threshold and immediately hit the shot, start powering the shot. You don't want to run unnecessarily long, because that's just time you could have been using to start your animation and hit that pass a little bit quicker. So now I'm going to show you how to do it correctly, the quick volley pass. So let's go. So boom. That's one. So I did the sprint, I reached the momentum threshold, and as soon as I did, as early as possible, activate the as early as possible after reaching the momentum threshold, you power up your volley pass by holding R1 and square or circle. So here I'll use circle, so to show you that it does work with circle as well. Doesn't matter if you use square or circle. And here I'll do it with square. Okay, and now I'm going to show you what happens when you don't use sprint. What I'll do is I'll let go of my R2 at the last moment. So I'm going to sprint, and then I'm going to let go of R2 at the last moment, and boom. You see the difference there? Slower animation at the end. So I'm holding R2 and I'm going to let it go at the last moment, and there you go. So I didn't do the quick volley pass. I did the normal volley pass. So that's the first one mistake that people do, or it may not be a mistake. They may generally just not know about the quick volley pass, because I see a lot of keepers not using it at all. So that's one mistake. The other mistake people are doing is not reaching the momentum threshold. So if you do it too early, if you start powering up the quick volley pass before you've built up enough momentum, then your keeper will do the normal volley pass. And let me show you that as well. So I'm just gonna immediately, so you see there, I was holding R2 and I was holding R1, but because I didn't give my keeper the opportunity to build enough momentum. After holding my sprint button, she ends up doing the normal volley pass. So I want to keep doing it the wrong way. There we go. So you see here I'm doing it too early. So that's not good. And another thing to take note of, be careful of, is if you're doing the sprint and then you suddenly change direction, you see how my keeper slows down in order to change direction. So here's where some more skills involved. So if you want to feint by pretending you want to pass in one direction and then doing this is the correct way. So if you want to do something like that, you need to train up so that you do not do this. That's the wrong way. And you saw that there she used the normal volley pass. And the reason why is because when you change directions so acutely like that, you need to give your character time to reach the momentum threshold again. Because you see, she slows down. So when she slows down like that, she goes under the momentum threshold, and that means you can no longer do the quick volley pass. So whenever you're changing directions like that, make sure you build up your momentum again before trying to execute the kick. Otherwise, you're going to do a normal volley pass. Hope I explained that well. And the final stage, as I said earlier, is timing. So after reaching momentum threshold, you want to do the kick, activate the kick as soon as possible, because you don't want to waste time. You know, if there's a striker running through their defensive line, you have a window of opportunity. If you take too long, they may get offside by the time you hit the ball. So naturally, what you're meant to do is recognize when your character has reached the momentum threshold so that you're able to immediately kick the ball. What you don't want is you're doing this, you've reached momentum threshold and you keep running and then you activate your quick volley pass. Unless, let's say the person started their run really early, so you're just buying time for them to get to the last man. Then in that case, yes, it makes sense to not kick immediately after you've reached momentum threshold because the player you want to kick to isn't in the appropriate position. So that makes sense. In that case, you would just continue sprinting. Maybe you would do a fake shot or two, giving that player time to run up the pitch before you do the quick volley pass. But let's say they are like, I'm running, and they're already almost through the opposition's back line, then you don't have time. You might need to just a brief run up to the momentum threshold before activating your kick. Like that. Now that I've explained how to do the quick volley pass, I would like to explain a couple of the disadvantages of quick volley pass. Now, before I talk about this, I want to just make it clear. You should not use the quick volley pass as a replacement for any other type of kick. Each type of volley kick is just a matter of what situations you use each one that matters. So for example, if you wanted to do a lobbed kick over the defensive line, you would not want to do the quick volley pass because you can't make lobbed kicks with the quick volley pass. When you're holding R1, whether you're doing the normal kick or the driven kick, you can't make a proper lob kick. Oh yeah, and to demonstrate a lob kick is this. This is what I mean by a lob kick. Those high arcing balls that go deep into the opposition's half. These. So you can't do this while executing the quick volley pass. The quick volley pass and the normal volley pass are always going to be these lower driven kicks. They're very fast, but their max distance isn't as far as the lob kick. So keep that in mind. Another thing is the quick volley pass, because you need to reach the momentum threshold before you make the kick. There's going to be some situations where it's just better for you to use the normal volley pass. Like let's say you're standing still, a player's already started making a run and they're almost past the back line. In this case, you may not have the time to do that short sprint to momentum threshold in order to do the quick volley pass. And honestly, it's not necessary. Let's say I'm standing here. See, the normal volley pass in such situations can work because you'd use your own judgment and see whether there's open space there, and it may not even be necessary to do the quick volley pass. But there are situations where you really would want to avoid that lengthy, this slowed kind of animation, because you just want to get the ball to into play. You want to start the counter attack as quick as possible, and so in those cases you just do boom, because there's none of that delay. You give the opponents less time to know where you're going, you give them less time to reposition themselves. So it can be a good one, like just doing something like this, for example. You know, that's like a feint. Or one thing I like to do quite a lot is maybe I fake pass here, I go like that, and then boom, something like that. There's all sorts of combinations you can do once you've figured out those principles of you know, using the sprint, reaching momentum threshold, and timing the kick. Alright guys, thanks for sticking to the end of the video. If you like the content, hit that like button and that subscribe button. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments below. I'll be sure to get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you very much, have a great day, and stay awesome.